Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we are going to discuss about another prefixes that denotes direction and position. Okay, so like uh, as we are learning about the medical terminology, so each and every terminology starts with some prefix, and that prefix denotes something. It sometimes it denoted direction, position, or there are many other things that prefix denotes, right? So for now, like what we are going to do, we are going to discuss about some prefixes that denotes direction and position. Okay, so let's see what all things we have today. First one is x or extra. X or extra prefix is mainly used in order to showcase something as beyond. So let's say if there is something which you want to showcase as beyond, let's say beyond the body, beyond the skull, beyond the cell, then in that case we will utilize the prefix x or extra for a medical terminology. Got it? Fine. Now we know like these are the prefix, but when we are learning about the medical terminology, in that case sometime it might be confusing for us like to identify like how it is utilized. Okay, so to make it much more clear to you, what we will do, we will see some examples. You can see here I have noted down a couple of examples that we will discuss, and it will help you to understand the actual meaning of x and extra prefix. And then let's say if later you read some medical diagnosis report or anything, then in that case these prefix will help you to understand the actual meaning of your medical terminology. You got my point? Fine. So now let's discuss the first example. First example is first terminology is extra corporeal. Extra corporeal. What does it mean? It means something beyond the body. So whenever you want to showcase something beyond the body, then we will use the terminology extra corporeal. And here extra is a prefix, as I told that whenever you want to show something as beyond, then in that case we will use the prefix extra. Second example is extra cranial. Extra cranial. Okay, so which means beyond the skull. So whenever we want to show something as beyond the skull, then we will use the terminology extracranial, and here we are using the prefix extra. Okay, fine. Now we will discuss the third example. Third example is for extracellular. Extracellular. So you can see in each and every example, one thing is common, which is beyond. Beyond the body, beyond the skull, beyond the cell. So that's the reason we are using extra or sometime x in order to showcase something as beyond. So extracellular is used to showcase beyond the cell. Extra and cellular. You can divide it in two parts. Extra is showing something as beyond, and cellular means we are going to showcase something as beyond the cell. Then we have extra peritoneal. Extra peritoneal, which is beyond the peritoneal cavity. Beyond the peritoneal cavity. Okay, so I hope now this prefix is clear to each one of you, and whenever you see this type of prefix in any of the medical terminology, then it should click in your mind that yes, this is something related to beyond. Okay, so this is about x and extra prefix. Now we will learn about another prefix, which is inter. Inter means between. Whenever you want to showcase something as inter, in between, then you will use the prefix inter. Okay, let's see some example here. First one is interarterial. Interarterial. What does it mean? Between the arteria of the heart. Between the arteria of the heart. Okay, so you can see when we are showing something as between, then we are using the prefix inter. Post that we have another example, which is intercondylar. Intercondylar, which means between the condylus of a bone such as femur. Between the condylus of a bone such as the femur. Okay, So here again we are using the terminology or prefix inter in order to showcase something as between. After that we have interlobar. Interlobar means between lobes, often used in the context of lungs or liver. So whenever we want to show something between the lobes in terms of lungs and liver, then in that case we will use the prefix inter and the terminology interlobar. Okay, final. Then finally we have another example which is intermolar. Intermolar means, now you can, like, we have covered these much of example, so with the name itself you can easily break down. Inter means between, molar means between the molars, so you can simply write between molar, the posterior teeth in mammals, the posterior teeth in mammals. So whenever we want to showcase something as inter or between, then we will use the prefix between, sorry, inter. Okay, so this is all about inter prefix. Then we have next prefix as infra. Infra means, now infra can be used in order to showcase two things, beneath or below. But although you know that both are same, beneath and below are same, right? So whenever we want to show something as beneath or below, then in that case we will use the prefix infra. Prefix infra. Now what is prefix? Prefix is something that comes at the initial of the terminology and indicates something. So you can see in this infrapatellar, infrapatellar, you can see infra is a prefix. Okay, so you can read it. The meaning is beneath the patella, which is kneecap. So whenever, let's say, if doctor is indicating something below the patella or kneecap, then he or she will use the terminology infrapatellar. Okay, fine. Then we have infraarenal. Infraarenal, which means below the kidney. You can say beneath the kidney as well, right? But the most common thing is below the kidney. Let's say if something is below the kidney, then we will use the terminology infraarenal. Next example is infracostal, which means below the ribs. Which means below the ribs. So whenever you want to showcase something below the ribs, let's say if some doctor is going to diagnose anything and he or she finds something which is below the ribs, right? So in that case what we will do, we will use the terminology infracostal, where infracostal is defining or showcasing something as below the ribs. Infra means below and costal means ribs. Okay, so this is how the terminology is built with the prefix infra. After that we have infra attenorial, okay, which is located beneath the tentorium cerebellum, a part of the brain. So whenever we want to showcase or locate something beneath the tentorium, then in that case we will use the terminology infratentorial. Sorry, yeah, infratentorial. So infratentorial is mainly used in order to showcase or locate something beneath the tentorium cerebelli. Okay, so this is all about regarding the infra prefix, which showcase something below and beneath. Both are same. Beneath and below, both are same. So we discuss four example here. Infrapatellar, where something is below the kneecap. Infraarenal, which is below the kidney. Infracostal, which is below the ribs. And infratentorial, which is located beneath the tentorium. Okay, so far we have discussed three prefix today. Extra, we can use X or we can use extra, both are useful, right? And both denote the same meaning, beyond. Then we discussed about inter, which is related to between. So whenever you want to showcase something as between, then you will use the prefix inter. And then we have infra, which is used to showcase something beneath or below. Okay, so to showcase something beneath and below, we will use infra. So these are the all prefix with some examples that we can utilize whenever we are designing or understanding the medical terminology. Usually, like, we are going to follow the common terminology, right, which is universal all across the world. So in that case, we should know about these things, like these prefix, what it is indicating. If, let's say, if you are preparing for some exam and there you are, you got some questions related to infrapatellar. So in that case, from infra itself, you should be know like what is the meaning of infra. Infra means something which is beneath or below. Okay, so this is all about infra, and these are the questions which I recommend you to put in the comment section, because these are the things that we have already discussed, and that's why I request you to share your knowledge. And if you have any doubt, then you can refer the previous session. These questions are mainly prepared to provide you questions so that you can recall everything that we have learned so far. So the question for today is, what information is provided by the prefix epi or end? Okay, so you can I know, like, you have already covered these sessions, so you should be aware of these simple things. So just put your answer in the comment section so that everyone who, like, if anyone is there who don't know about this, they can refer it. Okay, and if you are facing any issue in these two questions, then you can refer the previous session, because we are covering all the topics in a proper sequence. So you can refer that sequence, and that would be much easier for you to understand these things. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmat.